Thank you for joining me on Project Tech Statistics YouTube channel. Today we're going to discuss SPSS for beginners, a complete tutorial for using SPSS to analyze statistical data. If you're a beginner, this course is for you. We're going to talk about understanding data types in SPSS, coding research questions into the software, putting your research data into SPSS, defining value labels, coding missing values in SPSS, and independent sample t-test. Very important we understand different types of data and where they can be applied so that you'll be able to know when to use each of them in your analysis. Now, we have the continuous data, and we also have the categorical data. The continuous data is also known as the scale data. The categorical data, which can be subdivided into nominal and the ordinal data. Now, the scale data, which is continuous data, is defined as the type of data in which one unit change in numeric value represents the same change in quantity. It means that data that has a meaningful distance or count. So a scale data is a data that has a meaningful distance or a meaningful count. For example, if you measure the height of your table, so the height, length, number of students in the hall, exam score or temperature measured in Fahrenheit, these are examples of a scale data, which is also known as continuous data. Now, this data is data that can be counted. Anything that can be counted as a number is a scale data. Anything that can be counted or measured is a scale data. The examples I have here is height. If you measure your height, you are going to get a number, or you can also have weight. You can have number of students. Exam score can be 30, 40, or 100. So these are known as scale data. Now we have the second one, which is under the categorical data. We have the nominal data. The nominal data, each value represents a category. Responses are divided into two or more distinct categories. Now, each response is assigned to only one category, and these responses differ only in kind, not in degree or amount. Now, what this means is that in nominal data, you can have different categories, but there is no inherent order to those categories. These are categorizations that are not ordered. For example, we have male and female. We have, you can either be, maybe for example, your tribe, you can be Igbo, Yoruba, or Calabar, or Hausa. These are different, these are nominal categorization that is not ordinal. There is no inherent order to these categories. It's either you are male or female, or you say yes or no, young or old. So these are categorizations that are not ordinal. There is no inherent order to the categorization. Unlike the ordinal data. The ordinal data, there is a meaningful order in the categories. However, no meaningful distance between the categories. Ordinal data make a further distinction by quantity of response alternative. What it means is that there is inherent order in the categorization. Now, the example I have here, I say, what is your highest level of education? Now, you see the number one is less than high school. Then the other one is high school graduates, some college graduates, beyond college. So these are responses that have categories, unlike the male and the female that we have in nominal. But this one, there is inherent order. If you look at your Likert scale, strongly disagree, disagree, neutral, agree, and strongly agree. This is also an ordinal data that has inherent order. So when you ask question in your questionnaire, the kind of responses will determine whether you have an ordinal data, nominal data, or scale data. So these are the three basic classes of data we are going to have in this SPSS. And you need to really understand how to differentiate each of them to be able to analyze your data very well, because for you to choose the appropriate analysis software and analysis test, you need to understand the type of data involved. So it's very important you understand different data categories. For example, how often do you discuss politics with your peers? The respondent has 5 choices: very frequently, occasionally, rarely, or number 5, never. So these are different. There is orderliness in these categories now as compared to when you have the nominal responses, which is either a yes or a no. There is no ordinal categorization in each of them. So that's this is a very important part of the data analysis. You need to understand this part very well, and I think we are going to take an example. I'm going to send you a data in your WhatsApp right now. So I'm going to send an Excel data, which we are going to look at it. We are going to ask a questionnaire. This is the questionnaire we are going to use in analyzing the data. So this is a questionnaire. This is a survey. This survey is about the money college students spend buying recharge card and the possible factors that might influence students' card expenses. Please answer the following questions, which will be exclusively used for data analysis purposes in my research method class. If you are not sure about the answer, just give an estimate. So this is going to be our first questionnaire, because for you to acquire data for your research, you need to first of all ask question, which is distribute your questionnaire and get a response. So this is how you are going to ask your questionnaire and the kind of data you are going to expect when you collect the questionnaire from them. Now we are going to say, how much money do you spend buying recharge card per week? Now this is a survey you are going to do. You are going to do this survey maybe among the students in your school. So you are going to ask them to know how much they spend per week in buying recharge card. Then you also ask them questions concerning their gender, male or female. Then you also ask them questions concerning their year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. on average, how many hours do you spend making call per week? So you also want to know if the first hypothesis here is going to be if the male students, if gender has any effect on your recharge card expenses. You can also find out if your year of study, if it has any significant effect on the number of hours a student spend making call per week. Are we there? Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So what we're going to do right now, I'm going to send us the data we have collected from these responses. So we are going to collect the data from these responses and now see how we can analyze it. First of all, the first hypothesis here is there is no significant difference between the recharge card expenses of the male and that of the female. Okay, this is our research. We have about 40 students here. 40 students. This variable here is money spent on recharge card. That is MSORC. Money spent on recharge card. As you can see, this is the response of the first students. Student 1, under this questionnaire, the number 1 question, how much did you spend on buying a recharge card? So this student here spent 1,000 naira, and then gender, we use 1 for male and 2 for female. 1 for male and 2 for female. Then we have a year of study here, means 1 for year 1 and 2 for year 2, 3 for year 3 and 4 for year 4. So what it means here now is that this student here spent 1,000 naira buying a recharge card. He is a male student and he's in year 1. Now this one here, the second student spends 800 naira per week. Okay, so this is our SPSS interface. This we are going to look at how the interface is being arranged and how we can use the software. First of all, we have 2 tabs here. We have the data view and the variable view. We have the data view and the variable view. I told you earlier on that we have variable view and variable, and the data is the value that defines the variable. So here, based on our hypothesis, we are going to have about 2 or 3 variables. The first one is going to be the first question. The first question in our questionnaire is our variable. Every questionnaire is a variable. Once you have your questionnaire, the question in your variable, each of them becomes a variable in your analysis. The first question is, what was the question again? Okay, how much money do you spend buying a recharge card per week? Are you there? How much?
Yeah.
How much money do you spend buying recharge card per week? So we will first of all enable the variable view by clicking on it here. When you click on the variable view, you now come to this name. The name of the variable now is going to be money spent on recharge card. That's what I call that variable. Money spent on recharge cards. So this is the variable for that question. How much do you spend making call in a week? That means money spent on recharge card. That's what I use for that variable. Now the second question is, what is your gender? Your gender is male or female. So we're going to write gender here. Remember, we are under the variable view. So we have the gender. Then the next variable is what year are you? So which is your year of study? Year of study. Year of study. Then the other one is on average, how many hours do you spend making call per week? On average, which is number of time spent on making call, time spent on making call. Okay. So we have time spent on making call. We have your year of study. We have your gender. We have money spent on recharge card. As I told you that every question in your questionnaire becomes a variable when you are doing your analysis. Now, the question you are going to ask yourself right now is, what kind of variable is all this? What kind of variable? Money spent on recharge card. From what I explained earlier on, what do you think is the type of data for this money spent on recharge card?
The scale.
Scale, yes. So because this is going to be a number, a continuous variable, which is also known as scale. So you are going to come under the measure, the data measurement here. You will see scale. You choose scale. We have ordinal and the nominal. So here you choose scale data because it's a scale data. It's a continuous data. I told you that a continuous data or a scale data is a data that has a meaningful count or a meaningful measurement. So now for gender, gender is a categorical nominal data because gender is either male or female. So we have nominal data here. Then money spent, year of study is also a word. What kind of data is year of study? Are you there?
Yes.
So year of study, will say that we have year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4. Year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4. So you can give that as ordinal. Then time spent on making calls is also scale data. So that's for that. Then the next thing we are going to look at, the next important column here is your value. Your value here defines the categories. The value is used to define the categories of your variable. Now, since our money spent on recharge card is not a categorical variable, so it has no value. The variable that has value here is your gender, because gender is a categorical variable, and you are going to define the categories under the value. So here, since our male, we use 1 to represent male. So you are going to type male here. We use 1 to represent male and 2 to represent female. So we have 1, value 1, then label male. You click on add. You type 2 for female. You click on add, then okay. Then year of service is a categorical variable. So it's supposed to have value, which is going to be the code. I told you that value here means year 1. 2 here means year 2. 3 here means year 3. And 4 here means year 4. What you have to understand is that SPSS recognizes only numbers. SPSS does not recognize anything other than numbers. That is why even when your variable is in Word, you need to use a number to represent it. As you can see that the first variable here, money spent on a recharge card, is a number, so SPSS is okay to accept it. For gender, male and female, SPSS cannot accept male or female. It has to be converted to number. That is why you are using 1 for male and 2 for female. So anywhere you go in your data and put 1, SPSS will know it's male. So for this other one, it's also a scale data, so we don't have to convert it to number anymore. It's already here. So the value and the measure, these are the 2 important columns that you need to pay attention to configure them properly. If in our other example where we're going to have missing variable, I will show us how to impute a missing variable in our subsequent examples. So for now, you have been able to enter your variables and configure their properties. So the next thing to do here now is to switch over to your data view and start putting your data. Okay, somebody raise hand here.
Yes, I did, sir. Thank you.
Please, can you ask your questions?
All right. So what now happens to the rest of the columns we have here? The width, the decimal, the label.
Yes, those ones here, the width here is just what this width here means is we already have a default of 8 here, which means that you can have a maximum of 8 digits number when putting your data here. Now, if we switch over to our data view, this is how we are going to see the variables here. Now, what it means here, when you have your width to be 8, means that you have a maximum of 8 digits that can be contained in this column, in this variable. That is the width, just like we have 8 decimal places, means that 8 digits after the decimal, is it not? So when you have your width here, 8, means that this variable here, when you go to your data view, it can contain up to 8 variables. 8 digit numbers can be imputed into this variable in your data view. Then the label is the label is used to explain more of the name. For example, if I want to write the full meaning of this abbreviation here, I will now write it in my label. For example, I can now write money spent on recharge card. So label is helping you to make more explanation of your name. So most time you can use abbreviation in your name and give us the meaning of the abbreviation fully under your label. So that's what label is. You use it. This is a year of study. While this one is time spent on making call per week. Time spent on making call per week. But normally, when I'm doing my own analysis, I don't normally use my label. I just use this. But label, when you put your label, this is what your output is going to carry this label. And most of the time, it's very long. It's going to make your output untidy. So that's why I don't normally use label when I'm doing analysis. Column and width is the same thing, the width of the column. Then missing number here, what it means here is that if in your data view there are some students that did not answer some questions. For example, a student, a student may answer.
Student that did not respond.
Yes, a student may answer 1 or 2 questions and did not answer the 4th question. A student that answered maybe question 1, question 2, question 3, and did not answer question 4. So you see that particular data will be missing for that particular respondent. So in that case now, instead of keeping that space open, you can now put a number. So you can say maybe 999, maybe you are missing number. So in case of keeping that place open, you can write 999 there to avoid having an empty space. You can put 999, but what will happen is that SPSS will not analyze that particular entry. So it will not, it will see it as missing. But you need to indicate in this column that the 999 you are putting in the data view is a missing number, so that SPSS will ignore it. It will not use it as in the analysis. So when you are done here, you switch over to to your data view. So when you switch over, you see that your variables becomes the title of this column, and you can now put in your number. So I'm going to copy the SPSS file, the data in my Excel file. I'm going to copy it. Let me open my okay, here I'm going to press okay, so can you see my screen? Hello, are we there?
We're together.
Okay. Mr. Kenneth.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I want to
Huh?
I want to ask
Um,
what if we import the data directly?
import that. You copy them column by column
Must
and
you copy,
um,
must you copy and paste?
huh?
Is it a must that we must copy and paste?
Yes, for you to have all this thing here synchronized with your variables you have defined, you need to copy it and paste.
Okay, so there's no way to import.
No, there's no way to import. If it is starter, that's where you can import your value. But here, it's better you copy it from SPSS and paste, and you can get a better this. So are we on SPSS, or we are just following the video?
For me, I'm using my phone at the moment.
Okay, you're using your phone at the moment. Okay. Or you can use your laptop to practice later now, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, now we have entered our data. We have entered our data. The first hypothesis here is that we want to find out if there is any significant difference between the recharge card expenses of the male and that of the female. We want to find out if there is any significant difference in the recharge card expenses of the male and that of the female. That's our first hypothesis. So now, and the first thing we need to find out is what kind of analytical tool are we going to use to do this analysis? Because we have a categorical data that have two categories. Because we are going to first of all analyze gender against money spent on a recharge card. So we want to find out, we are analyzing a categorical variable with two categories, male and female, against a continuous variable. So before we go on to this analysis, we need to first of all study the different types of analytical procedures so that we understand the type of data that is suitable for a particular research, a particular analytical tool. Now, the first one we're going to study is the independent sample t-test. We have chi-square, we have regression analysis, we have correlation, and we have ANOVA. So what kind of data are you supposed to use for independent t-tests, and what kind of data are you supposed to use for analysis of variance? So we are going to first of all study the independent sample t-test and the different analytical tools so that we understand why we are going to use independent t-tests to analyze the first hypothesis. And what is a suitable hypothesis? Suitable research procedure to analyze the second hypothesis, which has to do with year of study against time spent on making call. Because the year of study, we have up to 4 categories here. 4 categorical variable against a continuous variable. So first of all, if we study the independent t-test, you will discover that for you to deploy independent sample t-test, you are supposed to have a categorical variable that has 2 groups being compared with a continuous variable. So I'm going to switch over to PowerPoint right now, and let's have a little study on independent sample t-test and the situations that will warrant you to use your independent sample t-test. So let me switch to my PowerPoint. So now we are going to study this independent sample t-test. This is the first analytical tool we are going to study. An independent sample t-test assesses whether the mean of 2 groups are statistically different from each other. To properly conduct such a test, the following condition must be met. Now, the first condition is that you are supposed to have 1 categorical variable that has 2 groups only, and you are going to compare it with a continuous variable. So for you to deploy independent sample t-test, you are supposed to have a categorical variable that has two groups against a continuous variable. So that is when to deploy independent sample t-test. For example, in our example, we have money spent on recharge card as your continuous variable and gender as a categorical variable that has two groups. If the group is more than two, you cannot use independent t-test to analyze it. So in that case, if the group is more than two, you now deploy the ANOVA